to this week's episode of Ant on Music. I, of course, am your humble host, Ant. And on this week's episode, we're going to have a rather incestuous, proggy edition of the episodes that we do here. And, we're going to start off with, some duo that's relatively unknown, not as far as them being, in the prog circle or musicianship, but them as a duo. And I also picked up, of all things, a bootleg. Would you believe that? Me, who really doesn't pick up bootlegs, I had to pick up one. Couldn't resist. Every now and again, there's something that pops up and I'm like, ooh, I gotta get that. And this is one of those occasions. So, without further ado, let's hop on into it. First thing up is the unknown duo, let's say it that way, a relatively unknown duo, but not unknown to people in prog circles, are these two gentlemen. All right here. This is Randy Mcstine, who's a native New Yorker, and Marco Minneman, probably one of the best drummers on the planet. Marco was one of the guys I tried out for Mike Portnoy's drum stool in Dream Theater when he abdicated the throne. He obviously didn't get the gig, but he went on to work with Steven Wilson on Hand Cannot Erase, which is by far my favorite Steven Wilson solo release. And also, Randy Mcstine has toured as part of Porcupine Tree during the last run of dates, at least as far as I can remember. And he's out on tour and going to be seeing him here in New York in the fall, which I'm kind of excited about, looking forward to that. This is their new album. I didn't get the first two. I wasn't fortunate enough to snap up a copy on vinyl on the first two, but I did get this one, and it does not disappoint. If you're familiar with Randy and Marco, you would figure with Randy being the vocalist and guitarist and Marco being the drummer, the songwriting duties would really fall to Randy. But actually, there's just as much stuff that Marco threw into the mix that Randy did. So we'll take a look at the vinyl itself, and then we'll talk about everything on here. So it comes with this, so we'll show you the front. So there's the front of the jacket, and then you have the rear with their picture and the track listing there. You've got 11 tracks on here. Inside, we have this neat little insert with lyrics and liner notes galore, and that is also a gatefold there. So we've got that. And the vinyl, basic black, cool looking labels that go along with the theme of the album itself. And it starts off rather gently. It starts off with this acoustic tune with seagulls on it called Over the Bay, and then after that all bets are off. It's what you would expect from Randy and Marco if you were expecting anything. It gets progressive as the album wears on. It got the song Survive and then Tigress, which are two tunes from Marco, and then we go into Your Own Decisions and Crossing Wires, which is the only tune on the album that is both of them that they worked on together. They both came with their own material to the sessions, and they worked on it. And then side two, you have This Time, Lines Around You, Riding on Clouds, Green, which is a fantastic tune, Free, and The Unmanned Flight. And it was also produced by Randy and Marco. So if you have never heard of them, this is a great place to check them out. If you have heard of them, you already know what I'm talking about. So that's no news to anybody that's in the know, so to speak. Next up, we've got another little bit of I guess, incest going on. And that is with Ned Sylvan. Ned Sylvan came to prominence first with his album Uniform. If you can find that one, check it out. It's like a classic Genesis album, and that opened him up to getting involved with Steve Hackett, and he has been the vocalist, live and on some tracks on Steve's solo albums. Here is his latest. This one is called Monumentata, and I'll explain the title in a moment. This is pretty neat. All right, so it's got appearances from the likes of Tony Levin, best bass player on the planet probably, or the most utilized. Randy Mcstine, Minneman, and also doing duty with Porcupine Tree. Nick Beggs, the lunatic Nick Beggs from Kaja Gugu fame, and also toured with Steven Wilson and Marco Minneman, and there's even more guests on here. So this is Ned's latest. It's a very personal album. It's about, him growing up and family. And the title Monumentata comes from the album being monumental, and Tata is Hungarian for father. And this has a lot to do with him and his thoughts on family and father. And that photo there is actually his dad, who was a tennis pro. And if you freeze the video, you can read everything there about how his parents met, how they split up, and basically how Ned has dealt with it over time, including the last time he saw him several years back. This has an insert in here with lyrics and the liner notes as well. And the vinyl itself is this pretty funky green. I'll show you that momentarily. So we've got that gorgeous green vinyl right there. Very nice. And, it's a very good album. It's actually very, very cool. Kicks off with a song called Secret Lover, which Randy Mcstine is also on. Then you got That's Not Me, Monte Carlo Priceless, Flowerland, which is a cool tune, Wildfire, Make Somebody Proud, I'm Stepping Out, and the title track. So if you're familiar with Ned's vocals, he does a great job of his interpretation of the Genesis music that Steve Hackett does on tour. And his stuff is very cool as well. I have all the rest of his stuff on CD. This one I saw on vinyl. I was able to snap it up. So I was very happy to be able to obtain a copy on vinyl, which is neat. You may want to check this one out. All right. You've got Ned Sylvan. Very cool. Next up, we're going to take a look at two from Pink Floyd. All right. So I realized I never owned Relics on vinyl. And in fact, I never owned Relics on anything. I didn't even have it on cassette back in the day. But this is great because this is classic Pink Floyd. This is early Pink Floyd. And you've got on here, it's on 180 gram vinyl. Got the back there. Really, nothing much to see here. Basic black, labels are typical of Floyd. Nothing spectacular there, but this is the remastered version. And on it, you got some great old Floyd tracks. You got Arnold Laid, Interstellar, Overdrive, See Emily Play, which I love. Remember a Day, Paintbox, Julia Dream, Careful with That Axe, Eugene. Love that tune. Cirrus Minor, the Nile Song, Biding My Time, and possibly the most famous song of the Syd Barrett era with Bike. So very glad to get this in one way, shape, or form. Happy to put it on vinyl into my Floyd collection. Very cool, very cool. So when I was digging around, I happened to come across this and love it, but now I have to try and find part two. All right, this is a very cool looking bootleg. Sounds pretty damn good too. And this is Pink Floyd, Altus Casino in Montreux, 1970, Volume 1. The problem when you get Volume 1 is hunting down the Volume 2, if you ever do find it. All right. It's a gatefold. Very, very beautiful photography right there. Let's move it in front of the mic. Very cool. There's the back. All right. And there's nothing in it. You got the album, and that's basically it. And the album itself is DJ Nightmare material, that's right. It's like the smoky clear vinyl, and there's two slabs of it. I'm only going to show you the one. There's no point in you seeing two of them. I could put it down on the table, pick it up again. You'd think it's the same thing. Labels are cool as well. And it's got a pretty cool track listing. All right, I dig the track listing on this one. So we have on here the opener, Astronomy Domine, Fat Old Son, which is a great Gilmore tune, Cymbeline, Adam Hart Mother, and finally on side D, The Embryo. So with the exception of side A, everything is one track per album side, which is, tells you they really stretch out. Very cool. I dig it. It's like I said, not a big not a big bootleg guy, but every now and again I dip my toe in the water. So if you ever see this one out and about, it's definitely worth checking out. Pink Floyd, Altus Casino, Montreux, 1970, Volume 1. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the unboxing of the latest from Steve Hackett. As you've heard me say, this album has, you know, basically people, you have Ned Sylvan, of course. You've got also other special guests, including one of my all-time favorite guitarists from Marillion. On the Lamia, you have Steve Rothery. And this is Steve Hackett's The Lamb Stands Up live at the Royal Albert Hall. It seems like it's almost becoming a yearly occasion that Mr. Hackett and company go to the Raw for some sort of show, and then it is translated into a beautiful box set. And this comes in multiple configurations. It did come in, as I'm beginning to call it, the standard lilac edition that you get directly from Steve Hackett. I didn't go for the lilac edition just because the conversion rate on the dollar is getting brutal. And between that and the shipping from the UK was crazy. So I purchased this through Century Media. Was a wee bit more affordable. And it is a 4 LP box set. There's the hype sticker, and believe the hype as always because it's Steve Hackett, and he's been doing a fantastic job keeping Genesis alive. So I'm going to show you the box cover right here. All right, this is, it's a pretty big box. Got 4 LPs in there, and the other configurations comes in DVD and Blu-ray and CD, which is neat. I think after listening to this, I'm going to have to go back and get the Blu-ray on it. Just because there was a point too, I noticed, I was talking to one of my friends about this, that they did have, they would put out like a 2-album version and with the CDs and Blu-ray. I don't know why they didn't just do one massive super deluxe box set for this. I probably would have picked it up just to have everything, because I've been fortunate to see Steve in concert, and it is definitely worth checking him out. I mean, regardless of age, the dude can freaking still play. And, this is not a knock. Not a knock. Don't come for me in the comments. But everyone talks about Eddie Van Halen and the tapping. People forget. Eddie wasn't the first. Neither was Steve Hackett. Actually, you go back and you look, there's some old Italian dude that's doing tapping back in like the 40s or 50s. Anyhow, Steve Hackett's, hammer on, pull off, technique is top notch. You really can't touch him. Very different than Eddie. Cool nonetheless. All right. So let's dive into this. Let's take a look at the Steve Hackett, The Lamb Stands Up live at the Royal Albert Hall. This is this is kind of funny that it came out because the Genesis box set of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which was celebrating its 50th last year and was supposed to come out this year and then got pushed back, has now been pushed back again to the fall. Hopefully it sees the light of day come fall, because I really, really, really want to get my hands on that. That's where I came into being a Genesis fan. Someone turned me on to that, and I think it's the album that turned me into a prog fan, and probably the album that turned most people into prog fans for my generation. And Steve does true justice to it on this live take. So let's dive in. Let's take a look. It comes with this great booklet. All right. Right there. We've got Steve on the back with his axe. Take a look at some of the photos in here. Mr. Hackett again. Definitely would love to get to the Raw one time, the Royal Albert Hall in London, and see a show there. And he's got a great lineup here on drums. He's got Craig Blundell, who also does duty with Steven Wilson, Roger King on keyboards, Jonas Reingold, Flower Kings fame, Ned Sylvan, and Rob Townsend on sax, woodwinds, keys, percussion, and vocals, with special guest Amanda Lehman on guitars and vocals. His brother John Hackett on flute. Ray Wilson on vocals. Many of you will remember Ray was part of the Genesis contingent for the Calling All Stations album. And the wonderful Stephen Rothery of Marillion on guitar. show you this one as well, and then we'll take a look at the albums and talk about the track listings on everything. All right, so let's dive in. Try and be as take this out as gingerly as possible. So they really did a great job with this. You know, each one is its own separate LP. You know, 4 of them. Everything is basic black, so let's just get that out of the way. And the great thing about when you see Hackett in concert is he, you know, not only does he do his solo material, he does highlight a Genesis album or a period of Genesis for each of the tours. Take a look at the back there. You've got the track listing, and on here we have People of the Smoke, Circo Inferno, These Passing Clouds, The Devil's Cathedral, Hands of the Priestess, A Tower Struck Down, Low Notes and High Hopes, and Camino Royale. Then you go on to the second LP. They really have some really gorgeous photography in this box set as well. And on LP2, we have Every Day, classic Hackett track, Shadow of the Hierophant. And then we get into, on side D, what we've all been waiting for. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, kicking into Fly on the Windshield, Broadway Melody of 1974, and Hairless Heart. And I'll tell you, this is wonderful. I cannot say enough good things about how great the playing on this is, nor can I say how fantastic the recording of this is. This is definitely something worth picking up. Then on LP3, we continue with The Lamb. And there we have Ray Wilson along with Steve Rothery right there. And we've got The Carpet Crawlers, Chamber of 32 Doors, Lily White Lilith, the Lamia, which is the track with Rothery on it, and Dancing with the Moonlit Night. All right. And then finally, LP4, right there. Very cool look at the Ra from the back of the hall there. Very neat. And the band right there. And then we have on here, Cinema Show, Isle of Plenty, Firth of Fifth, and then side H is all of Los Endos. Very cool way to close out the show. And like I said, if you've never had the opportunity to see Steve Hackett live, do yourself a favor. You will not be wasting your time, energy, or especially your money. It's worth every penny to see him live. I've seen him a few times over a few tours, and it's really great. You know, especially for I guess people in my age bracket, you know, or younger even, that didn't get a chance to see Genesis before they really became more of a functioning pop band. But it's great to hear these songs done with proper reverence and also with great musicianship, and at the Ra to boot. So that is everything I have to show for you this week. I am going to drop another episode that's going to highlight one of New York's most famous bands, and it's one that always seems to get a lot of attention on this channel, and talking about, you know, wanting the best, getting the best, Kiss. Yeah, that's going to be the next episode. We're going to have a lot of Kiss coming up over the summer. So come back soon. You'll get the alerts if you subscribe, you know, hit the little bell, give me a thumbs up, drop a comment. For everybody that comes back week after week and checks out the channel, thank you very much. For those of you that are new here, thank you for checking out the channel. Dig around. There's other cool stuff on here. It's like I kind of have somewhat of a sense that I know what I'm doing at this point, which is kind of fun. So there you go. As I always say, peace, one love, music. I'm out.